Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. This is my toy poodle Louie, who is 3.5 years old and weighs 6 pounds. He is my son. But today we're going to be taking a look at my film camera collection. Even as a little kid, I loved to collect things, whether it was basketball cards, action figures, books, you name it. So when I got into film photography 3 or 4 years ago, it was pretty natural for me to just want to grab up every camera I could find. So from thrift store cameras to cameras that I've traded with my friends to cameras that I use every week to cameras that I haven't touched in years. I just have a pretty wide range of film cameras, and so I think it'll be pretty fun to go through all of them today and show you what I have laying around. The first camera in my collection is my baby, the Mamiya 7, the original with the 65mm lens. This was the first film camera that I ever saved up a ton of money and bought, and it hurt to pay for it, but I do not regret it. It is the camera that I hope I never have to sell. It's a 6x7 medium format camera, and in my opinion it's just the best all around medium format camera for travel. It's pretty nuts that you can have this big of a negative and hang it around your neck comfortably. So most of my favorite photos that I've ever taken, whether it was film or digital, have come from this camera. And I recently heard on my man Willem Verbeek's channel, he was interviewing somebody, and somebody said about this camera that when you take a photo with it and you get the scans back, it just has the ability to surprise you every time, because it really just does produce that good of images. And I can say that for me personally, this Mamiya glass is the sharpest glass that I've ever shot on a film camera. Yeah, big fan of this camera, always will be. So this is mad embarrassing, but this is another Mamiya 7. This is the Mamiya 7 II, which one day I'll do a review on this, but they're basically the exact same camera except for double exposure. And there's one other thing in the viewfinder that I don't really want to try and explain right now, but the one thing that I will let you know is I don't believe the price difference is worth it for this. But recently I had some trades going down and I just ended up with a second one, so it's not necessary to own 2 of these, but I do have the 80mm lens as well. So I just love this camera system so much. It's my favorite camera system I've ever used, and so I have both, but I wouldn't recommend owning both, and I probably will get rid of one of them sooner rather than later. But embarrassing, but I do have 2 of these because I love them that much. So next up is the Yashica T5. If you ever hang out with me in real life or know me, I love point and shoots. I shoot a ton of point and shoot photos in my daily life. I just think they're awesome. I started out on iPhone, and so these really bring it back to the basics. As far as point and shoots go, you have it here for me on the record. I think this point and shoot and the Pentax T2 are the 2 best point and shoots that money can buy. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of money to buy a Pentax T2 these days, and this camera also has a Carl Zeiss 3.5 lens, so you can get some pretty crazy images out of it for a point and shoot, and you can get this for about $250 US if you play your cards right and you're patient. So Yashica T5, big fan. Have owned multiple of these, have sold multiple, but somehow I always come back to it. So Yashica T5, point and shoot that I love. Next, we have probably the most expensive and most absolute fire camera I've ever used in all my days. From the last video, you may recognize it. Psych. This camera was lent to me by my friend Avery that lives in downtown Knoxville, local photographer, so shout out to Avery. But you can thrift these or buy these for 10 bucks or less. It does shoot medium format, but yeah, Holga 120N. Just a fun camera to have. I like having it around. I tried to give it back to Avery like a couple weeks ago, and he was just like, no, keep it, or hang on to it. So yeah, I've got this laying around right now. It's a fun camera.
Sorry Avery, we're keeping it.
Yeah. Sorry Avery, thanks for the camera. Next up, we have the Polaroid Spectra. This is the only Polaroid camera that I have extensive history or experience with. A couple years ago, I just wanted to start shooting Polaroids, and my friend Caleb Jenkins got me interested in it, and he sold me this. So I've got about 6 or 7 packs of this film in my fridge right now. I don't know when I'll shoot them, but I do love this. You can find these on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for probably about $30 US, but yeah, it's just neat. I would never sell it. I just keep it around. It's really cool. So yeah, Polaroid Spectra. Next up is an iconic camera, the Polaroid SX70 land camera. Actually, I was gifted this in like the last 30 days by a family that goes to my church. They knew that I was into film photography, and so they reached out and they just gave it to me, and they had a lot of the original accessories and old film. And the gentleman who gave it to me actually told me the story of when he saw the very first ad before these actually came out, and told his dad that he was just super stoked on it. And so his dad bought this for him like 1 month after these came out. So this is the original year with the original leather, and I have a bunch of the original accessories. So I haven't got to shoot this yet, but the guy did say as far as he knows it should work. So just from seeing stuff from like Matt Day and other people, I'm super pumped to shoot this. Haven't got the chance, but yeah, super stoked to have this guy now. Still don't know how to shut it. Feel like I'm gonna break it every time. Next up, we have something that is very near and dear to my heart. Like I said earlier, I really dig point and shoot cameras, always have, always will. This is an Olympus Stylus. I actually thrifted this camera, and that's why it's so special to me, in a local thrift store. I think these go for about $100 US now. It's a clamshell style camera, which I absolutely love. It just slides out like this and the lens pops out. This has a 35mm 3.5 lens. But yeah, man, if you're looking to get into point and shoot cameras, it's hard to beat Olympus for the price, the feel. I will say the one thing that stands apart from this, from even like a Yashica T5 or a Pentax T2, is just the feel in the hand. You can put this in your pocket so easily. So I don't always use this. A lot of times when I travel, this will be my wife's camera when we go on a trip together. But yeah, we'll never sell this camera because I thrifted it, and it's hard to thrift cameras like this these days, but there's nothing better than finding something this good in a thrift store. So Olympus Stylus, very important to me, and also got the case to go with it as well. Less than 10 bucks, can't beat it. Next up is another camera that is just crazy special to me. I have to tell the backstory. I grew up in Texas. All my family lives in Texas. Long story short, my grandfather, who I'm really close to, one of his personal friends was a photographer the last 40 or 50 years, recently retired, so he had a lot of old film cameras laying around. My grandfather told him last year sometime that I was into film, and one day my mom hit me up and was like, hey, you have a package at our house. Went to my parents' house, and there was this Bronica ETRS from my grandfather's friend. So he straight hooked it up with this camera. To be honest with you, I haven't shot one photo on it. I know it works, but I have the 75mm lens for it. Also, he sent the Polaroid back for it, which is very cool, even though I could never afford to shoot what these cost these days. And also he sent me the 150mm and the 50mm. So yeah, I've been on the Flickr page, and it looks like it can take great photos. So yeah, one day I'll do it. But this is another camera that money couldn't buy, just because it's just cool that a family friend was willing to do that and send it to me. I felt like I opened a $50,000 camera just because, I don't know, that was just super sick of somebody to do that for me, knowing that I was into film. So I don't know if you ever watched this, but shout out to Doug back in Dallas where I grew up for sending this to me. This sits under my desk every day. I see it all the time. I do need to shoot it and see what it can do, but yeah, film community, man, it just rules. So yeah, I have this camera. Brand new whip, got no keys. Okay, here we go. Another crazy story. One day I went to help move an elderly woman in our community's home with some of my boys. Trying to give back to the community, you know. And yeah, she gave me this Polaroid land camera, automatic 210. Don't know how it works, don't know if it works, but yeah, I've got it, so it sits around. That same lady also hooked it up with this Yashica Electro 35. I actually have seen photos from this camera. Yeah, I think it can do some cool stuff, but like I said, don't know if it works. Looks pretty dusty, but yeah, I have a hard time throwing things away, so it just hangs out. Yeah, some of y'all didn't even know I had it. I shoot no street photography. Yeah. I just own this camera. Long story short, I bought it 6 months ago. bought a crazy nice lens and was super hyped to use it, and went on a work trip shooting some commercial photos, took it along, shot 2 rolls just to test it out for the first time, got the rolls back, and every photo was completely destroyed. So bought this from a dude I trusted, but the shutter curtain in it is broken, and so it's been sitting on the shelf. I sold the lens because I didn't want to pay to get it repaired, but although I've not got any photos that were, you know, correct out of it, I can say only shooting 2 rolls, I understand why this is arguably the most iconic film camera ever made. It's efficient. It just, man, it's just a photographer's camera. I can't wait to one day use it when I travel, because it's just amazing to shoot from the lever, just everything. So I shoot no street photography. I'm not really into Leica culture. I don't really know anything about Leica culture, but only shooting 2 rolls on this camera, I can testify. I understand why you pay what you pay for these. So hopefully one day soon we'll see some photos from it, but for now it just sits on my shelf, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, I do have an M6. Last but not least, I do have a light meter that I don't use often. Most of the cameras that I referenced here today that I would use consistently do have built-in light meters, but this is the Pentax digital spot meter. This is, man, a crazy nice spot meter. It's actually the spot meter that Ansel Adams used, and so I bought it and I just enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I don't ever use it when I'm at home, but when I do go on trips, I definitely take it with me everywhere. It uses the zone system, which if you're not familiar, there's no way I'm gonna try and explain it right now. But yeah, it's not electronic. It just, you point and shoot and it gives you an EV reading, so it's very fast, it's very efficient. And so yeah, this is the spot meter, or the light meter, that I do use, and I did want to show you guys that. So yeah, that's all my film cameras, most of them anyway. I know it's kind of a lot and I definitely don't use them all, but I do love gear. That's kind of hard to admit. I know that that's a conversation with photographers a lot, but I'm just nerdy in that way. I like to try new cameras, so I have a lot of cameras. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my film camera collection today. Also, you may notice that my voice is a little bit raspy. I'm getting over sickness because we did just come back from 2 weeks in Africa. I was there on a work trip, and I did try and get as much iPhone footage as possible while I was working, and I actually do have my scans back already from the trip. So I shot a ton of medium format on both my Mamiya 7 systems. So in the next few weeks, be on the lookout for 2 separate videos, hopefully one from Uganda and one from South Africa. So I'm pretty excited for those, and I hope you guys are too. Also, you guys can follow me on Instagram to get more updates on what I'm thinking about doing for the channel. I can hear your input. You can let me know what you're liking, what you're not liking, as well as seeing the photos and stories that I'm sharing throughout the week. So we'll see you guys hopefully on the Africa videos very soon. As Willem Verb would say, peace. Alright, that's it, bud.